Many years ago, there was nobody who was South Asian who was a plus size model representing. Representation is very important to me. If you don't see yourself, how do you know it's okay to be yourself? Representation in media is important.
I'm here with Bishamber, the first British plus size Asian model. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. So obviously this is a bit of a taboo topic with plus size Asian models. Does that sentence make sense? Does that feel like it's the right thing to say?
I mean, people have opinions on if you can use the term plus size, or they don't want to associate plus size to modelling, or sometimes they say things like, why can't you just be called a regular model? But for me, my opinion is that plus size is a way of basically identifying someone with my body type. So I'm very happy to be called a plus size model.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, there's different types of models from slim and now plus size. And plus size is, would you say that you're one of the pioneers behind plus size models?
I mean, that's a great compliment if someone looks at me and thinks that. I mean, definitely when I started off in 2014, many years ago, there was nobody who was South Asian who was a plus size model representing. Representation is very important to me. For me, it's, you know, very simple. If you don't see yourself, how do you know it's okay to be yourself? So, you know, representation in media is important, and I grew up with no one that I could relate to. And when I saw that all these Caucasian models, these black models who were plus size and making great careers, I thought, why is a brown girl not out there representing? And that's when I really wanted to bring change, and that's why I did what I did.
Amazing. And I know you've mentioned comments like being pretty for a fat girl. How does that make you feel?
I think people normally look at it and think, you know, it's a derogatory term, we shouldn't use the word fat. For me, you know, everybody has a percentage of fat on them. That's a way that I describe myself. It's not something that I feel shame in saying, and that's my reality. I mean, now with age and time, my body shape has changed. When I first started off in 2014, I was much bigger. For example, even before I came into modelling, you know, I used to have elderly aunties basically who used to feel that they've got the right to come up to me or to my family members and say, you know what, in Punjabi they used to say, and I'll translate it, they say, "Thodi kudi da muh bahut sona hai," you know, par pari bahut hai. So basically your daughter's got a very beautiful face for a fat girl. So they'd give you a compliment, but then they'll take you there with your compliment and then drop you back down there again by saying, but for a fat girl. You know, of course it hurt at the time. It's taken me a long time to build this confidence, and now to look at it and say, well, actually, it's my reality. It is what it is. It's not a negative. So yeah, that's definitely been thrown at me, but I don't look at it in a derogatory way anymore.
So let's talk about these aunties, because obviously I've had experience with these aunties as well. Yeah, we're talking about they're wanting to make sure that you're fair and lovely, yeah, tall, good bank balance, you know, slim, you know, and married very quick. But obviously, you know, has this put any additional pressure on you, do you feel? Or do you just block out the noise?
No, now I can say that I can block out the noise because it's taken so many years of self-work to get to where I am. I will never forget when I was that 14, 15-year-old girl who was really vulnerable and used to look at myself in the mirror and used to think that I'm not worthy of love. That thought isn't just born out of nothing. That was society, that was people that used to claim that they love me, who were friends, who were family, who would make comments because they felt that it was their right. People who didn't even know me, but they just know me through my family members. You know, they would say things like, who's going to marry your daughter, to my mum? You know, she's too big, she's very fat, she needs to lose weight. They didn't know who Bishamber was. They didn't know what my core values are or who I am as a human being or as a person. They came to a decision of me based on just my body shape. That broke my heart, that broke my soul. You know, no child, because I was a child, deserves to basically feel that about themselves. That knocked my self-esteem and my confidence for years. Still has an impact on me till this day. I'm 37 years old. You know, for me to sit here and say that doesn't affect me, of course it affects me. It's always probably going to affect me, but I'm better at handling it now. And it's taken a lot of work.
So for someone that's obviously watching this, naturally we have a lot of you know, youngsters, 13, 14, 15, that are potentially in the same position that you were at 14, 15. What kind of words of wisdom would you give them?
Honestly, I feel like though young people now in today's day and age have different challenges compared to probably what the challenges were for me when I was a child, at least one thing that I can say, that young people now have positive role models out there. Social media is so powerful. Of course, it has its pros, it has its cons, but people that you can follow, people that you can look for inspiration. I had none of that as a child. I remember going to school and trying to basically fit in with, you know, my circle of friends who were predominantly white Caucasian girls. I was very aware that I didn't look like them, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't fit in. That wasn't my identity. I was still a Sikh Punjabi girl born and raised in the UK who was basically trying to fit in with traditions and how life is here in the West, still trying to preserve, you know, my traditions that I hold so close to my heart, that my parents have brought and I've been raised into as well from the East, and still trying to find Bishamber in between. There was nobody that I could relate to. Luckily now, young people can. We urge people to be authentic. No one ever urged me to be authentic. No one ever said to me that, you know what, Bishamber, if you are the age that you are seriously overweight, because I have my own story in respect of that. Why was I so overweight? No one ever came up to me and wanted to offer me support and help in respect of that. Instead, they would shame me, body shame me. But what people don't understand now is that nothing positive ever comes out of shame, does it? If I say to you, you know what, look at you, X, Y, Z, and give you tough love, by shaming you, you're not going to bring positive change. If anything, I'm just knocking you down. But now people recognize that. At least we're openly having these conversations. At least now, you know, there's people in South Asian communities that recognize the impact of mental health. My mental health was damaged severely when I was a child. My family didn't understand that. My parents didn't understand that. People around me didn't understand that. They felt that it's their right to come up to me and say, who's going to marry you? I grew up thinking that I'm not worthy of any man's love. Maybe that's why 37 years old, still single. You know, has an impact on you.
No, of course.
Yeah.
What do you feel needs to change within the South Asian community, or even the Asian community in general, to kind of, you know, wipe away this, you know, perception of you must look or feel like this? What do you think needs to change?
Education. You know, I remember in 2014 when I first started off, and it was really simple. Look, I'm not no pro. It's not that I think that I'm so beautiful I can be a model. I was just a normal girl who basically had this confidence within me to want to bring change. Why did I want to do that? Because I was so fed up of people always looking down at me and thinking that I'm not worth anything. When in reality, I knew I was worth so much more. I knew that my life cannot just be, people can't come to a decision based on just what they see of me. They need to know me, the real Bishamber. I was just at the right place at the right time. And I could see that so many people were making a successful career out of themselves. Why was I not representing South Asian women as well? Whether you're from Bangladesh, whether you're from Pakistan, Sri Lanka, where are our brown women? You know, we're successful in any other chosen field in our lives, whether we want to be doctors, lawyers, you know, why could we also not be representing in mainstream media? So that was really what I had within me that I really wanted to do. We understand that, you know, people have free choice and they can go out there and choose whatever they want to for themselves. Back in the days when I started off, people didn't, they didn't know. I remember when I used to just give myself, I had the internet and I had a phone and I had myself, the talent. And I used to just record videos of myself. And back in them days, you know, viral, there was no such thing as reels, but they used to make these funny lip sync videos and so on. And that's all I was doing. And I remember the backlash that I got by posting them. I had so many people who you could tell like village type mentality, who were sitting on their mobile phones, probably in the village in Punjab somewhere, making comments underneath my pictures saying, oh my God, look at this baby elephant. Some really horrible things. I laugh about it now. It broke my heart then. You know, they would post emojis of trucks, for example, calling me a truck. How does that make sense? But, you know, that's what they do. And absolutely body shame me because they just couldn't understand the concept of how can a woman who has my body shape call herself a model? And they felt that I didn't have the right to make videos of myself, which, you know, I don't think they were distasteful in any way. I was appropriately dressed. All I was doing was just having fun, making a lip sync video, posting it on my social media platform. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But people could not understand that. Now, finally, people do with education, because more women like me are stepping out into mainstream media and representing and showing that we can do what normal size models, if that's what you want to call them, do as well. So it's all down to education.
So let's take a trip down memory lane, as you've mentioned, obviously what you did originally to become what you have. You're talking about lip sync, videos and stuff. But what was the defining moment that kind of changed you to become like, well, I say pioneer in the plus size model industry, or let's just say model industry, I think. Was there a key moment for you?
I remember seeing an advert on Instagram basically saying that there was a beauty pageant taking place. That was back in 2014. And the first thing you always do when you look at a beauty pageant is look at what the requirements are to see if I fit the standard. And there was nothing related to size. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to try it. I remember going through the audition, which was really daunting. I've never, ever presented myself on a stage for someone to basically judge me, right? And there I was, the only plus size girl there, absolutely stunning, beautiful model type looking girls who were other contestants, all trying their luck. God knows how the hell I made it through that pageant and came as a runner-up, representing the United Kingdom. I remember when I was in that audition, or when I was going through some final stages, basically in the pageant, the other girls, not all of them, some of the girls would basically look at me shocked, like, what is a girl of her body shape doing here? They just couldn't grasp that. But what people would look at me as a flaw, my body shape, I looked at them as my positive, because that was the one thing that was setting me separate to them. I look different from them clearly, so why not use that to my advantage? And that's exactly what I did. So for me, that's when I realized that I've got a different story here. It's not just about being a pretty face. Nowadays, people want to know more about the person that you are. I remember days when I used to pick up a magazine as a child and flip through Vogue or all these Indian Filmfare magazines, and people didn't basically know who the actors, did they? They only know this persona that they see in a magazine or a TV screen. Nowadays, thanks to social media, we know who our influencers are. We know who our models are, what their morals are, what they stand for. That's why cancel culture is around, isn't it? If someone does something wrong, we cancel them straight away. It's because we know more about them. Back in the days, I don't know about you, but I didn't know these models. I just used to know their pretty faces. So I came to a realization very fast that I've got a story here which is very unique. And that's when I basically decided that I'm going to push myself. And so I did. I never turned back. So even though I didn't, people normally think that when you go to a pageant, you're going to come out winning, like Miss World or something, and your life's going to change. It's not like that. You have to work even harder after that. And it's because I believed in my story. I believed that I had something different. And I believe that I'm not just my voice, I'm a voice for so many other women. And that's when I decided that I'm not going to let this go. Representation is so important.
And obviously it snowballed from there, didn't it? From there it went from, obviously, was the pageant the first thing then?
It was the first thing that happened.
And then from there it just went to many of your campaigns. So just talk to me about your campaigns.
So I'm very lucky, very early on, I got scouted. I'm still with the agency now as well. They're a London and New York based agency. It's really important to have an agent in this work if you want to do impactful work. I personally, that's my opinion on that. And I got scouted, and since then I've never really looked back. I've been the face of eBay. I've done all major campaigns for plus size clothing brands, not just here in the UK, but around the world, Middle East, featured. For me, it's a big, massive achievement to feature all over Piccadilly Circus, for example, and all around London. Did I think a normal girl from Derby who, grew up with all these problems in her life and then faced all this discrimination when it came to her body would be featuring all around London in Piccadilly Circus like that? Hell no. And that's what when I stood there and I saw myself there on Piccadilly Circus, it was like I was speaking to that 12, 13, 14-year-old Bishamber saying, you made it, girl. It's because I believed in myself. I didn't need someone else to believe in me. I always knew that I had that somewhere within me. And more importantly, of course you get hate. You're always going to get hate, and I always remind myself this: you could be the juiciest and the ripest apple in the cart, but there will always be someone who bloody hates apples. Okay. So not everyone's going to love you. Yeah. And that's fine. And I really do not focus on the fact that someone's going to say, oh my God, look at this fat girl, what she's doing. I don't care. That's your mentality. That's for you to deal with. That's you making your own karma. What's more important to me is all these women saying, thank you so much, Bishamber, for doing what you're doing. Now my daughter feels so much more confident and comfortable going to school, wearing what she's wearing or speaking her language. I don't shy away on all my social media platforms to speak fluent Punjabi or to play songs when I know that majority of my audience who are watching me is Caucasian, for example. I'm always unapologetically and authentically going to be myself, and that's something that's just been my spirit from the beginning. So yeah, and that's just how I've always pushed through with all my major brands, you know, going to major fashion awards, doing everything. I've done it so early on in my career. Again, when I was like my most biggest in terms of my body shape.
Yeah. And what motivates you now?
I don't know, I've just always had this fire in me to do something that no one else has ever done before. Yeah. You know, I just don't know. I don't know why I'm like that. I just want to be the first person to do it. Even if I never do it again, that's fine. I was the first to do it.
You did it first.
I did it first.
Just want to be there first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why.
So we've got, obviously, I would probably say half of you. Now we've got the other half, which is you became the youngest Asian magistrate in the UK at the age of 22. You studied criminology and law with a degree in law. So you had a degree in law. So this is now, we're talking that different realms of things now. We're talking about education, very, very difficult, you know, very difficult jobs. And obviously you're working currently, aren't you?
So that's one thing that I've always done. People normally go into modelling, for example, very much earlier on into their lives. When they're 16, 17 years old, they get scouted and off they go. For me, one thing that my family, my parents have always instilled is get yourself a good education. It's an Asian thing. I'm sure we all agree with that. And that's basically what I always did. So for me, that was always priority. You know, go to university, get myself a good education, enjoy what I do. And that's what I did. And I think maybe my family were more confident that because I had that already in check, they were like, okay, she wants to do modelling, let her do her thing. I don't think they ever thought that I would do what I've done. But they didn't really care because they always knew that that was there. Again, for me, I always think to myself that I'm not the type of person who can just only do one thing at a time. Like, if I want to do 10 things, why can't I do 10 things? I'm basically one of them weird women. So if I want to do X, Y, Z, I will do X, Y, Z. I don't like to be told no. I'm very stubborn like that. And I guess that's really worked in my advantage when it comes to my career. So that's why I've always been able to balance that. I do modelling, travel around the world, do campaigns, and also at the same time, I'm still working in child protection and I'm still working in law and I'm doing everything else. Why do I have to just do one thing? I can do whatever I want.
Well, for those that are wondering, how do you balance it all?
Maybe that's why, because I'm not married and don't have children. That's why I'm balancing it. Maybe if other things happen, maybe I won't be able to balance it as much. But jokes aside, I think when you have the fire within you that you really want to do it, you can.
Okay.
That's just me.
And talk to me through like what a day looks like for you. So you wake up, what happens after that?
So wake up in the morning. Normally I would be doing my child protection role or my law role. I will be doing that. And the beauty about modelling is that, of course, it's my bread and butter as well. It's not primarily my bread and butter. So I can pick and choose. And I'm so blessed that I'm in that position where I can actually say, I want to be part of that project. I don't want to be part of that project. You know, I understand that I'm very privileged like that. So if there's something that's up and coming, then I would focus on whatever needs to be prioritized at that time. But I've done it all these years and I can see myself doing it forever. Yeah.
So obviously, because the particular, I want to say brand of law, but I don't think that's the correct word, type of law that you're doing is, must pull a lot of heartstrings, right? So how does that make you feel every day? Because you've got a very, very important type of law that you're kind of having to get yourself into every day. Does it get very challenging and difficult mentally?
Absolutely. You know, I'm the type of person, if I don't feel a challenge, I don't feel stimulated enough to want to do it. But because it's something that I've been doing for so many years of my life, for me, it's not so much that emotionally I get so invested and involved. Of course, it's always going to be there. That's just me as a human being. Otherwise, if I don't care, I wouldn't do it. But for me, it's more about what is the procedure, you know, bang, bang, bang. So just get on with it, basically. But of course, you come across all sorts of cases in life that you just think to yourself, it's just so unfair. You know, whether it's away from my day-to-day job, you know, there's stuff that I get involved in because I have a platform. When I talk, people listen to what I say. And, you know, I have a very strong sense of right and wrong. I can't stand injustice. And if I feel really strongly about something, I will talk up, even if it means that the rest of the world are talking against me. that's just how I would say Vaheguru has made my soul, and I would never change that for the world. So there has been times where I have stood up for victims, when a lot of people have basically said, you know, like, she's lying, you know, what's the proof, and all the victim shaming and blaming that we do as a society. But I'm the type of person that once I hold your hand, I don't let go.
Yeah. So obviously, I feel like you've got a lot of bullets coming from like every direction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you've got bullets from obviously, let's say, shame online. You've got bullets coming from your actual day-to-day 9-to-5 job. And you've got bullets coming from the aunties as well. So
the aunties are calmed down. Now it's more the young people trying to bang bang.
The young ones. So obviously, you know, mental health is very important now. It's in mainstream media. Given that you have so much like being fired at you, how do you, as just a normal human person, how do you drown all of that out?
It's been hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I have been involved in my personal life, high-profile cases where I've stood up for victims before. You know, and I would say the only way, of course, it affects your mental health. You know, I'm not a robot. At the end of the day, I have emotions as well, and maybe that's why I'm very different to other people, is because I feel other people's pain like it's my own. And maybe that's why I'm the first person to jump straight away to someone's rescue if I can do. You know, I don't shame away or shy away from the fact of how difficult my life has been in the past before. I grew up in a household where, you know, there was domestic abuse, for example. And as a child, witnessing that and feeling absolutely lonely and feeling like that there's nothing out there or nobody out there that can help you is not a nice feeling. Yeah. So maybe that's why when I see someone who's extremely vulnerable and feels that there's no way out, I feel like that's my calling. You know, my experiences in my life have made me a strong person, and I don't want someone else to feel the way I have felt. And that's why I jumped to that person's help straight away. But I'm very lucky that I have a great support system around me. Of course, my mental health struggles sometimes. I struggle with it and it suffers, but I have great people around me. My circle of friends, my girlfriends are my lifeline. And if they weren't around, maybe I wouldn't be the Bishamber that I am today. So I 101 million% give them the credit that they deserve.
And we're talking about, obviously, you know, mental health. Naturally, you know, you mentioned your friends being a good support system and things like that. But the reality is, obviously, it's very difficult to actually get out there in both industries that you're in, you know, in both the law industry as well as, you know, being a plus size model. If it ever came down to it, where you have to be like, you know what, one has to be sacrificed, could you make that decision?
Absolutely not.
You couldn't?
No. Why do I have to just do one? Like, I don't understand that. So many people always say to me, well, Bishamber, you do X, Y, Z. Why? Kind of, if I've got the capacity and I've got the ability to do it and I'm doing a good job at it, then why do I need to sacrifice one? No, I can do whatever I want to do. Yeah. I don't like to be told no.
Okay, so if we go on to, obviously, you know, let's talk about your circle. Obviously, we've spoken about you as a youngster, now you to present day. What is it that is kind of, you know, we know what's kind of motivating you and driving you, but if we meet again in 10 years' time, okay, we know about your history, where is that you want to be in 10 years?
Dare I say it on camera?
On camera?
Dare I say it on camera?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's just put it out there. The universe is listening, God is kind. I want to see myself in politics.
Okay.
So you might be doing the next podcast 10 years' time in Parliament with me.
Hopefully. So obviously, I know, based on obviously previous conversations we've had, these motions are now being put into place. Mm-hmm. Are you allowed to tell us what these motions are being put in place to start your journey into politics?
No. We'll talk about that when things happen, but it's something that I definitely do feel passionate about. I feel that if you have such a sense of right and wrong and you feel that you can bring change, then, you know, it's just natural to want to be attracted to that way, I feel. But right now, my focus is, even though of course that's something that is just a thought, and I feel that I can bring a change on a bigger level, then that's the path that I would like to walk towards. It might be that I might decide in 6 months' time that I don't want to do it, who knows, but it's something that I definitely do feel passionate about, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
it does feel like change is a theme in everything that you do. Like you want to change the perspective of people. You want to change the way, you know, maybe the country, dare I say, is moving. Yeah, you want to change the way overseas people think. You want to change the way aunties think. You want to change the way, you know, everyone thinks. So I think it's really impressive that, you know, you've done that so far. And obviously, when I originally viewed your profile and I saw the good work that you've done, I have to say is very inspirational, motivational.
Thank you.
In addition to obviously what we have already discussed, there was maybe still is, there was a business that was born as well. So tell us a little bit about that. So it's a plus size business.
Yeah, that's right. So I started Girl Like Me basically for women in India. I just feel that women in the UK, in the West and other parts of the world have so many options when it comes to clothing, plus size clothing. I travel to India backwards and forth quite a lot. I have a great following out in India as well. And I realized very quick that women in India, even though so much clothes get made in India and shipped out to the UK, for example, I mean, go to Primark, look at the label, made in India, you know, but yet they don't have them options there. And there's not that many homegrown brands there. And I just wanted to make affordable, fashionable clothing for plus size girls. Every woman deserves to wear beautiful clothing and feel absolutely fabulous. And I knew that when I was growing up, that was something that I definitely struggled with. I couldn't find clothing that was my size. I wasn't even that big, but I couldn't. It just wasn't there. Now there's so many options in so many sizes. In India, for women, there wasn't that, and that's how Girl Like Me was born. So we've basically released a number of collections, and you know what, touch wood, God is kind. For someone who's just started off something so small herself, like I used to go to the markets in Delhi, climb over these massive mountains of fabric, and with my own hands select the fabric. I was involved in every process, from design to choosing the fabric to you know, to the packaging, to everything, you name it. And my first 2 collections sold out just like that.
Wow, okay.
COVID was difficult for us because India really struggled with COVID, and because of logistical problems, the business, we had to slow things down. It's on the back burner, but definitely, again, when I feel that I've got a little bit more capacity, I will jump out with my third, fourth collection when I want to. But you know, I've been very lucky to do that, and my focus has been giving plus size Indian women in India them options, and that's why Girl Like Me was born.
Perfect. And how is it running a business? Because obviously we've spoken about like working normally and modelling, but running a business is a whole different animal. How was that for you?
Very difficult, and it's even more difficult, especially when it's not in the same country that you're in. I mean, running a business in the UK alone is really hard, and here's me running a business that is logistically and being manufactured in India, and I'm sitting in the UK. So I was really thankful to my team in India for doing whatever they can, but it's still not the same when you're not there all the time. So definitely I did struggle, and I think that's why, you know, when I say logistically, that's another big thing as well, because I'm based in the UK, I'm not based in India. I can't give my 24/7 to it because I physically need to be there. I can't also fly out at the drop of a hat to, you know, just for the business alone. So it's had its challenges. And maybe that's why it's on the back burner for now. But again, I wanted to prove a point to myself that I can start something from scratch with such little investment and choose everything with my own hands, design it, do everything from A to Z myself, and I sold it like that.
You did,
I'm so proud of myself for it.
Yeah. So, of course, we're talking about logistics in business, you know, UK and India is very difficult. At this rate, I think we're going to need to get you a private plane. And maybe
you can fund it.
and then maybe all of this stuff will be resolved. But yeah, obviously, you know, it seems like travel is quite a big thing in your armor, let's say. But speaking of travel, speaking of India, we are about to be graced with a fantastic movie, which you are the star. Ta-da. The star, right? Okay, so just talk to me. How did this all come about? How did you get selected? How has it been working on set?
You're gonna laugh. You're absolutely gonna laugh. So I kept getting a DM in my Instagram from this person consecutively, like for 3 weeks non-stop. I was like, who is this weirdo that keeps messaging me? My best friend, who also manages my work in India, in the end, I just said to her, I says, Kamal, just get on the phone to this guy. Who is it? He claims that he's a director. I don't know who this weirdo is. Have a chat with him. And she was like, you've got a script. Do you want to go through it? Okay, It's actually a film offer. And I was like, oh, he's probably lying. Because you know what the thing is, when you're in this line of work, the amount of emails that I get, the amount of DMs that I get of people saying, there's this web series, there's this. And majority of the time, 90% of the time is bogus. There is just people who are just trying to find a way in to talk to you. It's just basically that. And I was like, I don't want to be chatting to any more weirdos. There's enough weirdos in the UK.
You just delegate out. You're like, you just deal with it.
Yeah. So anyway, she dealt with it, and she's like, what do you want me to do? And I says, well, have a chat with him and let him narrate the script to you. And she said, you know what, it sounds okay. So the character is basically, the role that I'm playing in the main lead is of a girl who's UK based, who is plus size. And I thought to myself, I'm that weirdo who always wants to be the first person to do something. So why don't I be the first plus size Punjabi girl to do a Punjabi film?
Oh my God,
because they're all thin models, you know. And actresses, so why not bring something different to the table? So I heard him, and it was my director, and Paranjit is such a lovely guy, the one who I called a weirdo. He's a sweetheart. But then the film shoot started. So I'm opposite Ninja, who's a really well-established Punjabi artist, and he's a film actor too. Did I think in my wildest dreams that I will be shooting a film? Hell no. Am I an actress? I'm the biggest drama queen going, yes. Naturally. Whether I look natural on the camera, I don't know. I think I look okay, but you know, when the whole thing comes together after an edit, I might regret it, but who knows, at least I did it. So that's just the way I look at life. I don't take anything seriously. If an opportunity presents itself, I grab it with both hands. If I look like an idiot at the end of it, I look like an idiot. At least I did it. You know, there's so many people that sit out there and say, oh, look at her, she's doing X, Y, Z. At least I'm doing it. You're doing nothing.
So when is this being released as well?
Ask my director.
Paranjit. Okay. You're gonna go back into the weirdo category.
We need to ring Paranjit, but hopefully, touch wood, soon. I'm just waiting for a few more days of the shoot, which has nothing to do with me. I've done all my bits and bobs. Shot 70% of the film here in the UK. Had to travel to India as well to shoot some. For about 10 days in India as well. I've done all of my bits. So as far as it's concerned, from my side, it's over and done with. Just a few more songs left to shoot, you know, and it will be out. You can go to cinema and watch me.
I can't wait. I'm gonna get myself a front row ticket. Well, not front row, but a VIP ticket.
You better scream when you see me on the screen. You've got to act to faint.
Oh my God.
You're my number one fan.
I'm gonna have a t-shirt, number one.
With my face on it.
So we've obviously spoken about different things. So now the film industry is something different.
Yeah, it was so hard to act.
Was it hard to act?
It was so hard to act. I speak Punjabi very fluently, okay, and I take great pride in the fact that I can. Being born and raised here, you know, so many people say, you know, again, I'll say in Punjabi, like, "Wah, thodi Punjabi kinni vadiya hai," right? Even my accent, everything. And when I was in front of the camera, facing the camera, I don't find any difficulty whatsoever. I've been doing it for so many years. Reading my dialogues, oh my God, I struggled so much. Even basic, simple things I was not able to say. Now, I'm dyslexic, right? And all my life, I have struggled through life thinking, maybe it's just me. And it was only after I handed in my dissertation right at the end, my lecturer decides to say, Bishamber, I think you might be dyslexic, go for the test. I was like, now you're telling me, after I've completed all my years of university as well. But I did, and I was actually, I don't know, diagnosed is the right word, but I was identified as being dyslexic. When I'm really stressed out, it affects my memory sometimes. So I could read something, even though I've registered it here, sometimes I'm not able to verbalize it. Nobody would ever guess that I'm dyslexic. Nobody ever would. But I have this internal struggle with it. And when I was acting, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I was working with some amazing actors. Yuvraj Singh, he's a legendary Punjabi actor. He plays my father. Yuvraj Singh, I don't know if you follow cricket, for example. It's his father.
Oh my goodness, okay,
I love Yuvraj uncle. He's absolutely amazing. And being face to face with him on screen, and you see someone who's acting from his heart, his soul, I was like shaking like a leaf, and nothing phases me normally. But he made me feel so comfortable. He knew that I was struggling with my lines, but I don't know why. When I was in front of him, my lines would come out naturally.
Wow.
You know, it was crazy. Rupinder Kaur, she's a very famous actress as well. Rupi, they call her. She, auntie, I love her so much. And she's playing my mother. Again, such a legendary actress, has done so many films. She's playing my mum, made me feel so much at ease.
Oh, wow.
You know, Ninja, again, a great co-star. It was good. Reveline, she's another actress. She's a first-time face as well, like I am on screen too. She was great to work with as well. It was really different. It was really different, and it was really difficult. So people think, and you know how much I froze out there as well. There's so many outdoor scenes, and it's absolutely freezing, -3. And
yeah, because in the UK you said, right?
oh my God, standing in Cambridge and shooting songs, and I'm running around with a skirt on and hair and makeup in check. Only I know how I was dying. Like, I felt like a kulfi, basically. That's how I felt. And you know what breaks my heart? It's so easy to walk out of a film and say, oh, that was a shit film.
Yeah, they don't understand
Nobody
what goes behind
knows
it.
how much work goes into it. I'm guilty. I would say the same. Oh, it was a crap film. But you have no idea how much work goes into it. Like, I've decided I will stand at the door, and if anyone says it's a crap film, I'm going to give them a provide, because I froze to death shooting that.
And what's next for you?
Oh God, that's the beauty about it. Anything could be
Anything
next.
and everything.
So just a few days ago, I shot another Punjabi song. You know, I've done numerous Punjabi songs before. Just shot another one for a really, really good Punjabi artist, Gurbaksh Shankhi ji. They're like, now you get so much fresh talent, right? You hear all these new boys and all these banger tracks that are out. People forget the legendary, you know, artists who can even sing without auto-tune, without any music, stand them anywhere, and they know exactly what a surah is, you know, how to hit that surah. So I find great pride in working with people like that, you know. So again, just anything can happen, and that's the beauty about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm Bishamber, anything can happen.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, anything can happen. Okay. Probably a final question. Can money buy happiness?
No, but it does make you happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense? Because money can't buy happiness. You've got to find it here within you, internally. If you can have, I mean, I'm very lucky to see like royalty level, and then to see really, really poor people. And when I mean that, it's the experiences I've been exposed to in life. And I know people who are literally royalty, okay, who are great friends, for example, and they really, really, really struggle. And they have all the money and all the resources at the click of a finger, and yet they struggle so much. And I've seen their personal struggles. And then I've also been, you know, very privileged to go to India and also sit in somebody's chompri and eat roti with them. And see that they will offer me the world, and I'm just a stranger to them. So even though they have nothing in terms of materialistic things in life, yet they want to give everything that they've got. Not that the rich don't want to, you know, but they have their struggles, and someone who doesn't have the materialistic things in life has their struggles too. So can it buy happiness? No, it can't, because I've actually physically seen it. But money does make people happy.
Money does.
Makes me happy.
Do you ever feel lonely?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a natural feeling to feel like that. But also at the same time, I'm not someone who focuses so much on the fact that I am lonely. I'm also someone who takes great, I don't know what the word is to describe it, but it gives me contentment and happiness to also be in my own space and to also be alone. I feel lonely, but I don't fear being lonely.
Okay.
That's literally how I feel.
Okay.
I need to be lonely sometimes.
So it's just nice to have your own space as well sometimes.
Sanity. You, the thing is, you open your phone, you're on social media, right? And you see all these millions of comments, good things, bad things, you're watching what everyone else is doing. And it's like, even though the world is not physically in front of you, it's like it's just, everything is just so busy. I like turning off my phone, putting it away. I used to be the type of person who used to want to post all the time. Now you go on my social media, I wouldn't even post for like a month. Because I am done with the rat race. That's one thing that I've come to realize, that if I want to be authentic and I want to be true to myself, then no one's my competition. I'm in my own lane doing my own thing. And that's why I'm okay with putting things to the side, okay with being lonely. You know, I enjoy it.
Do you feel like social media is, I and this is going to be a hard question because I know you've done a lot for it. Do you feel like social media is a positive or a negative?
There's ups and downs in it, you know. Yeah. It all depends on who you want to follow on social media. And one thing that I always do is, you know, go just out of curiosity. I look at, you know, who's someone's follow list, what someone's follow list is like, for example. Yeah. I think that defines a lot about a person, basically. You know, what their headspace is at. You know, for me right now, I just want personal growth. So for me, I'm not going to be exposing myself to people on social media whose values don't align with my own, you know, whose core beliefs aren't similar to mine. Yeah. So why would I put myself in a situation by exposing myself to things like that? I'm very protective of what I consume nowadays. I think the older you get, the more you realize that. So I don't want to be consuming, again, no hate towards anyone, the Kim Kardashians of the world. Yeah. You know, there's so much more to life. I want personal growth. I want spiritual growth. That's my focus right now. So I wouldn't have been able to do that without social media as well. I wouldn't be able to learn people's views. I wouldn't be able to learn a different way of life because it's education. I'm educating myself in a different way. You know, first it used to be you'd pull out a book and start reading through a book. I've never been a book type of person. First page and I'm lost. I'm like, okay, bye. I'm visual. So, you know, I connect so much more when it comes to things like that. So, yeah, social media has its ups, it has its downs, but it depends on you. What do you want to consume? No one can force you to consume something you don't want to. You know, consciously make the right decisions and choices for yourself.
Wow. Well, it's been amazing having you.
Thank you.
And so we've got so much stuff to look forward to in the next year. A new film. We've got potentially the relaunch of the clothing brand, potentially. We've got God knows what you're going to be doing in the actual plus size model space.
More campaigns.
More campaigns, more things. So I don't even know how you do it, to be honest. I'm actually exhausted talking about it. It's like 24 hours a day. Like, oh, I don't know how you do it, but I'm truly a fan and I will be there for that movie in the VIP section.
Front row.
Front row.
Gotta be there.
So much. Yeah?
Thank you.